The lecture hall fell into its usual reverent silence as Instructor Vexathera activated the holographic display. The towering Kethari's 6 eyes gleamed with the satisfaction of a predator about to deliver a particularly devastating lesson to her mixed-species xenobiology class. Today we examine the most feared apex predator known to the Galactic Council, she announced, her mandibles clicking with academic precision. Native to a death world designated Terra 3, these creatures have been responsible for the evacuation of 3 separate colonial expeditions. James shifted uncomfortably in his seat near the back, already recognizing the distinctive 4-legged silhouette materializing in the hologram. Beside him, his study partner Mino, a Veltaran with crystalline blue skin, leaned forward with the same morbid fascination as their classmates. The creature in the display stood nearly 4 feet at the shoulder, its muscular frame rippling beneath a coat of golden fur marked with dark spots. Its amber eyes held an intelligence that made several students involuntarily shrink back in their seats. The Terran apex hunter, Vexathera continued, possesses jaws capable of crushing duralloy plating. Its bite force measures over 1,500 pounds per square inch. Observe the retractable claws, each one capable of rending Kavrani battle armor. The hologram shifted to show the beast in motion, fluid, graceful, and utterly lethal. It leaped impossible distances, scaled vertical surfaces, with ease and moved with a silence that belied its substantial mass. Most terrifying of all, the instructor's voice dropped to a whisper that somehow carried to every corner of the vast hall, is its pack-hunting behavior. These creatures coordinate attacks with tactical precision that rivals military strike teams. The survivors of the Kepler 442b incident reported that the hunters seemed to predict their every move, cutting off escape routes with supernatural cunning. A nervous chittering arose from the insectoid students. Even the normally stoic Mineral Collective representatives seemed to dim their natural luminescence. The Colonial Defense Force has classified any world containing these apex predators as uninhabitable for civilian populations. Military presence is authorized only with full mechanized support and orbital bombardment capabilities on standby. James felt dozens of eyes turning toward him, the only human in a class of 200 students. Heat crept up his neck as whispers began circulating in various alien languages, but he caught the universal tone of fearful respect. That's when Mino raised her delicate crystalline hand. Instructor Vexathera, her melodious voice carried clearly through the hall. I believe our human classmate might have some insight into these creatures. Every eye in the auditorium fixed on James. Vexathera's compound eyes rotated to focus on him with predatory intensity. Indeed, human James, do your people have experience with these apex hunters? James stood slowly, his chair scraping against the floor in the absolute silence. He cleared his throat, acutely aware that his next words would either elevate humanity's reputation or destroy what little respect they'd earned among the galactic community. Well, he began, his voice steadier than he felt. We call them dogs. The silence stretched for several heartbeats before erupting into chaos. Students from a dozen species began talking at once, their translators creating a cacophony of disbelief, confusion, and outright terror. Dogs? Vexathera's mandibles spread wide in what James had learned was her species' expression of shock. You have designated names for them? How many encounters have your people survived? Oh, we don't just encounter them, James said, gaining confidence as he saw the rapt attention of his audience. We live with them. They're our companions. I had one named Rex who walked with me to school every day from the time I was 6 until I turned 16. The insectoid students were now making high-pitched keening sounds. A Geltorian in the front row had turned completely transparent with fear. Mino's eyes widened to the size of dinner plates. You domesticated apex predators? Well, yeah. About 15,000 years ago, we figured out they were pack hunters, so we just convinced them we were part of the pack. Now there are hundreds of different breeds. Some are smaller than your hand, others are bigger than what you're showing here. James gestured at the hologram. That looks like it might be a German Shepherd or maybe a Belgian Malinois. Breeds? Vexthara's voice was barely a whisper. You've selectively modified apex predators? Sure. Some are bred for guarding, some for hunting, some just for companionship. My little sister has one that fits in her purse. Completely harmless unless you're a squeaky toy. The lecture hall erupted again. James caught fragments of translations. The humans breed them for different purposes. They carry them in containers. The younglings associate with them. Instructor Vexathera raised all 6 of her arms for silence. When the hall finally quieted, she fixed James with her most intense stare. Human James, are you telling this class that your species not only coexists with these apex predators, but has formed symbiotic relationships with them? Pretty much. They help us hunt, guard our homes, find lost people, detect drugs and explosives, guide the blind, provide therapy for trauma victims, and mostly just keep us company. In return, we feed them, give them shelter, and throw tennis balls for them to chase. The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, a small voice from the aquatic collective section squeaked, "What's a tennis ball?" James grinned. "It's a small bouncy sphere we use in a recreational sport. Dogs will chase them for hours. They think it's the greatest game ever invented." Mino leaned over to whisper urgently, "James, you're describing the tactical use of apex predators in warfare, law enforcement, and psychological operations. And you're saying you convince them to participate by playing games?" "Well, when you put it that way, it sounds pretty impressive," James admitted. "But really, they're just good boys and girls who want belly rubs and treats." The class stared at him in complete silence. Instructor Vexathara slowly deactivated the hologram. Class dismissed. "I need to file a report with the Galactic Council immediately." As students filed out in stunned silence, Mino grabbed James's arm. "Do you realize what you just did? You've single-handedly elevated humanity's threat assessment level by about 12 categories." James shrugged. "Wait until they find out about cats."